Those Shoes by the Eagles. Classic hit. All right, Prepared Mind here. Good morning. I'm doing this video series, Why Should I Prep? Why should you prep? The first one, of course, was about responsibility. That is key to everything. If you're not self-responsible or responsible for yourself, none of this matters anyway. But if you're looking into prepping, wondering, why should I? What's it about? Why should I bother? That's what this video series is about. And it's about looking around. Once you realize you're responsible for yourself, take a look around. See if there's evidence to support the idea that prepping is a good idea. Is there, historical evidence? Is there financial or economic reasons for doing it? Is there an advantage to it in some fashion? Is it for you because you're worried about natural disaster, or are you worried about man-made disaster? There's all kinds of reasons for being curious about it. One of the big ones for me was looking around at what government does. Government is like it's like a parent. It does what it wants, and it says, don't do what I do. Do what I say, don't do what I do. It loves that kind of thing. There's special rules for it versus for you. But, we're not children. And so we're allowed to think for ourselves. And as much as we can, we take action for ourselves. Because the government, like a controlling parent, will tell you, you don't need to worry about that. We'll take care of it for you. We'll do all the heavy thinking for you. And if something goes wrong, Uncle Sam and Aunt Sally will take good care of you. Right? If there's an emergency, don't you worry your little head about it. We'll take care of you. Well, that's really what they say, but that's not really how it works. A lot of examples in life where people, they get behind the 8 ball and they turn around and say, somebody help me, and there's no one there. Everyone says, man, I got your back. But they're watching your back and they run, right? They don't have the means. They have good intentions. They're being nice, but they really can't help you. If you lose your job, which is $100,000 a year, people can't give you enough money to take care of you. You're screwed. You've got to take care of yourselves. So, let's look at the government. That kind of interesting parent of ours. We used to be its parent, but now it thinks it's the parent. Anyways, the government. So let's look at it. What does it do? How does it think? And should we mimic that? Should we follow its example rather? Well, government takes a bunch of money in that it gets through the form of taxes, and then it spends more than it takes in and goes into debt. I don't think that's a model that we should follow. Logically, that's ridiculous. Yet everybody I know, with the exception of a very rare few, they make $50,000 and they spend $51,000. They make $30,000 and they spend $35,000. They go into debt. Houses, cars, stupid shit, right? Debt spending. And pretty soon they're just trying to service the debt. And if they lose their job, they lose it all. And that happened back in 2008. It's happened a lot, but when you have a major crisis, right, a financial crisis, even though the world is just plunged into recession and depression, for people who lose it, right, who aren't just a statistic or a part of the larger organism, shit hits the fan for them. They lose their house, they lose their job, they lose their car, they lose their families. It's a life-changing tragedy. So following the government's example in that case is bad. Debt spending is something we can't as people do, because we don't have a source of income where we go point a gun at somebody and say, give me your money or I'll throw you in jail and shoot you. Taxes. So, but people follow that example. Okay, well, now what's another thing government does? Government has always prepared for emergencies. Always. Go all the way back into the Bible. There's this fella, I believe his name is Jacob. I can't remember which one it is. Maybe it's Jacob. Tells the Pharaoh, you need to put down 7 years of grain and this and that. There's going to be a famine coming. And then it happened, and then the kingdom was saved, and he got all kinds of credit for it. I think it was Jacob. Anyways, a little cloudy in my head this morning. So that happened, way back then, governments stored food. They had means of protection, not because they were bad necessarily, but because they felt that if they were threatened, they would need to have the ability to defend themselves, defend defend their rights, defend the people. So if government does that, as our parent, shouldn't we do that as the child? Shouldn't we emulate it? Shouldn't we follow the things that actually make sense the government does for ourselves? Why should I prep? Because the government prepares. They have emergency plans and procedures and protocols that are mind-bogglingly comprehensive. It covers power, it covers food, it covers water, it covers controlling the people. These plans they have cover foreign invasion, grid down scenarios. The government plans, literally, for grid down. They go into multi-state, multi-regional simulations to see what would happen if the grid went down and what the consequences would be. Basically, they play general banter. They play what if all the time. Now, something they've done in the last 6 months on the news and in the media and in the public is to say, we don't play hypotheticals. So that means they don't want to answer our questions when we ask them. Well, if there's a grid down government, what are you going to do? Well, we don't answer hypotheticals about that kind of stuff. And it's like, bullshit. You guys plan for this all the time. You practice for it all the time. And you've got preparations in the form of resources, food, fuel. Hey guys, food, fuel, everything. They've got it all. So should we, as individuals, do the same thing for ourselves, our families, our extended families, our communities, or our groups? Should we do that? Why prep? Because the government does. Did they have good reason? Yes. Doesn't that mean I have a good reason? Shouldn't I look into this further? All right, Prepared Mind here, throwing that out at you. Why should I prep? Because the government does. The government looks out for itself. It's worried about continuity of government, right? The COG, that's their big thing, continuity of government. If something bad happens, they want to smoothly continue their operations and maintain control to the extent that they have, if not increase their control more to maintain a system by which they can in the future retain authority. Okay, continuity of government. That's what their program's about. Shouldn't you have in your life continuity of life itself, right? Control over yourself. Yeah, I'm going to say, for me, I'll take it. I like control over my life. I don't want to get in trouble in an emergency, whether it's short-term or long, and have someone tell me how much I get to eat, where I have to go, what I have to do. Because they feel there's an emergency, my daddy government's going to tell me what to do. I don't like that. There's a lot of history out there that suggests that is not a good situation to be in as a citizen, as a free person, because you're not free if they're telling you what to do. Okay, it goes back to those lists the government has and what they want and what is their agenda. Their agenda is maintaining control of the people and the resources. Okay, my agenda is continuing to breathe and drink scotch. All right, Prepared Mind wishing you a good day, good thinking, because chance favors the prepared mind. Bye-bye.